Good afternoon. Today we're going to talk about return on investment for instructional design. What that looks like, what are some models that we can use, and how can we structure our return on investment for our instructional design project. So what's the big idea we're looking for? Obviously, we need to show our stakeholders that the project is actually going to yield more profit than losses. But for the ROI, we compare the earnings to investment and we calculate that as a percentage. The learning environment design is measured by learning achievements, usage and engagement of the learning environment by the students or the customers, and the overall return on investment for our stakeholders. Instructional design return on investment is best for program comparison, tech tools and software comparison, and training differences between different employee groups. There are some assessments that are required to value the ROI, such as attrition or the usage and system engagement of our customers, the employees or the students, the implementation and cost associated with enacting certain programs or tools, and the study time and teacher-student connectedness that occurs due to the program that we choose and how we design the project. The ROI formula is very basic. It's essentially just net profit over the cost of investment times 100. ROI is rarely calculated effectively at the executive level for true measurement of new tech benefits compared to the cost and training of implementation. The lack of data exists due to several factors. One, there's a fear of negative results. Two, the instructional designer's failure to understand the ROI at the executive level. Likewise, the executive level's failure to plan measurements properly. Three, the difficulty of capturing data. For the instructional designer's fear of having to evaluate all tech for ROI once the stakeholders see effectiveness. And five, the lack of desire and knowledge of measuring ROI. So here we see the formula further explained. Essentially, we can break it down into four components. There's the evaluation planning, the data collection phase, the data analysis phase, and finally the reporting phase. There is a link to a PDF that shows this methodology in a larger form and that you can print out. To identify ROI costs, we need to look at three factors: the overall cost, the hard costs, and the time cost. The hard costs are easy to determine and identify. They're the multimedia tools such as projectors, smart boards, any back-end tech resources we may need, any additional programs that we may need. We also have to consider print materials. And then there are travel costs and pilot program costs associated with the research and the time spent traveling back and forth to various locations. Time costs are also easier to identify by looking at salaries, benefits of the employees, lost production due to time spent training, and the time it takes overall to develop the program and to implement the program effectively. Finally, there are the costs that fluctuate and change with experience and with time and development. What we're looking at here is a 10-to-1 ratio, and essentially it means that for every 10 hours of design, 1 hour of training is created. Or every 25 hours of design, one print-based self-guided instructional material can be created. And there are even higher ratios when we begin to create blended and e-learning experiences and environments. For new designers launching out on their own, it's important to overestimate as opposed to underestimate. There are 5 levels within the ROI framework. We have a reaction and planned action data. That's the value of a program content, reactions to user experience, relevance and importance of content, and willingness to recommend the program. The learning data is acquired new knowledge of strengths, weaknesses, skills needed for success, and confidence of users when applying newly learned knowledge on the job. Application and implementation data. How do professionals apply newly learned knowledge and skills? Barriers and enablers to learning are recognized at this level, with adjustments made to eliminate them from the measurements. The business impact data level. How the program or tech has reduced errors, rejects, customer complaints and returns, absenteeism, operating costs, down and cycle time. And we also consider increases with accounts, customer satisfaction, job engagement, and compliance. Finally, the ROI measures of improvement. This is where we compare the monetary benefits of the impact measures to the overall full cost of the program. Performance models for ROI. We have two basic models that we could follow. The Kirkpatrick model, which is the original, and the Phillips model, which is the revised version. Phillips updated the Kirkpatrick model and added level 0 for inputs and level 5 for ROI. He also developed approaches for isolation of learning effects from the influence of other factors, such as marketing. This increases the validity of the whole evaluation. The training or the rollout phase. We need to consider isolating the effects of training, converting effects to numerical value, and then interpreting the effects of the data. Conversion factors like historical industry costs is a solid approach to estimating ROI, while baseline information like scrap rates and employee documentation, such as write-ups, provide means for comparison of program effectiveness. There are several ways to increase ROI. We can develop application and impact objectives. So what will the user do with the application, and what is the consequence of using this application? We develop content to reflect application and impact objectives. This is content that is focused on both areas, with application being the chief end. Design for application and impact. These are application tools built within the application process, such as action plans, checklists, guides, and templates that are some assistive tools that we can use. Create an expectation for results. Responsibilities should be shifted to reflect application as communicated from the executive level. So we need to ask ourselves, how does the CEO view the participant's role in this program? We need to involve the participant's manager. Research has shown us that this step here has not been taken serious enough, because the managers yield a lot of influential and encouragement power. So we need to provide low-level activities for the manager to be involved in all of the tech applications that their subordinates must learn, so they at least have an overview of what is being learned. And finally, applying the principles of learning transfer. Application is the most important part of measuring ROI, and is the most important part of any e-learning environment or application. The effectiveness of the program and of the implementation process requires us to review the work that we've done and consider changes that should be made for the next event. But we always need to apply principles for learning transfer.